In this video, I'm going to import information from an XML file to create a documentation sheet. And in order to do that, you need to have the Developer tab on the ribbon. So if your Developer tab is not on the ribbon, go ahead and go to File Options and add it. So I'm going to click on the Developer tab and go to the Source button in the XML group. And XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. And it's a language used to do a variety of things in computing. So for this particular document, we're going to start out here in the XML source task pane and click XML maps. And we're going to add a map, and you'll notice that something like an open dialog box has appeared. And I am going to navigate to my storage area, which I'm already there. So you would do the same thing. You would navigate to your Tutorial 11 folder, find the Data XML file and click on it and click Open. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is rename the map so it has a meaningful name, and we're just going to call it Horizons Fund XML Data. Okay, and then you can resize the name column so that the whole name shows up. And then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And here's the data map. So the next thing I want to do then is to create a documentation sheet. So I'm going to add a new worksheet, and I'm going to name it Documentation. Okay. And then over here in the data map, you'll notice that you have these little categories: title, subtitle, date, author, file name, and notes. So I'm going to click on the title here, and I'm going to go ahead and drag that over to cell A1. Nothing shows up in cell A1, but you'll notice now that there's a blue border around it, and it just means that there's a placeholder there. We'll get the information to show up in a minute. I'm going to put the subtitle in A2. I'm going to put the author in cell B4. And the Smart Tag header options allows me to put the XML heading in. So I'm just going to click Place Header to the left. Then I'm going to go ahead and add the date right underneath, and then add the XML heading. And I'm going to add the file name underneath that, and again add the XML heading. Finally, I am going to add the notes in cell B8, and there's several lines of notes, so this shows up as a little Excel table. Now I'm going to actually import the data from the XML file. So I'm going to go to the Data tab, to the Connections group, and I need to make sure that one piece of my data is selected. And I'm going to click Connections, and I need to make sure that data is selected. Over here I'm going to click the down arrow next to the refresh button and then click refresh. And so there is my XML information. I'm going to quickly click on properties, and I'm going to name this particular connection Horizons Fund Report. I'm not going to add the description at this time for the sake of time, but you would add a description there in the dialog box. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and then click Close. So I can go in theoretically and modify the XML file and then refresh my worksheet and have that information change. So what I need to do is use a text editor like Notepad to open the data XML file, and Notepad can be found in the accessories. And so I'm going to go ahead and use Notepad to open my file. I have already navigated to my Tutorial 11 folder. You would need to navigate to yours. You'll notice that only the history.txt file is showing up at this time. So I need to come down here and click this down arrow next to text documents and tell the dialog box that I want to see all files. There's data XML. I'll click on it and click open. I am just going to modify the name. I'm going to change Carol Hill's name here to my own name, and I need to be careful when I do this, when I'm deleting Carol Hill's name, that I don't delete any part of the tags around it. Either the little less than or greater than sign or the words enclosed in those. We also are instructed to add a note 6, so I can do that as well. So I type the notes opening tag, the number 6, and the information that goes with it, documentation sheet data comes from the data.xml file, and then I would type my closing tag, being careful to include all of the little codes, the greater than and less than signs and the slashes. Then I would go ahead and save the file, and then I can close Notepad and come back to my workbook, and in the connections group I'm going to click the down arrow and click refresh. And so you see the name has been changed and a 6th note has been added to the notes. And that is importing data from an XML file.